In this video, we'll demonstrate nesting some pop displays in Griffin while showing some of its more advanced features. So first off, let's go take a look at one of the samples we want to nest. I'm going to open this up in Acrobat and I'll take a look at the layers. Okay, so we've got three layers here: route, crease, and content. And I can see that the route and crease layer are what I'm going to actually want to use in Griffin for my true shape nesting and also to export for cutting. So let's close this and go into Griffin now. So first off, I just want to do some configuration. There are three different libraries in Griffin. There's Substrate Library, Tooltypes Library, and Mark Presets Library. Let's start off with Tooltypes. So I'm going to go over to my Route tooltype, and I want to add a mapping for this for the layers that I saw in that PDF. So I'm going to create a new mapping here. Sources layer, that's what I want. I'm going to say the text, if it contains the word route, then I want to map to this tooltype. I'm also going to offset it by 4 millimeters because the width of this tool type is 8 millimeters, so I'm going to do half of that for the offset. Okay, that's good. Now I have a mapping for my route tool type, and I'm going to do the same for crease. So let's create a mapping here, and I'll say the text, if it contains the word crease, then map to this layer, this tool type. Go OK on that. There we go. Now I have a mapping for crease, and my tool types are ready. Now let's go create some Mark presets. So pull up the Mark presets dialog. There are two types of Mark presets in Griffin. There are artwork presets and layout presets. I'm going to create some layout presets. So first off, let's create a camera registration mark. I want to specify the type, round, that's good. The size and the offset, I'm happy with that. I don't want to auto distribute, so I'm going to check that off. But I do want to add corners and a double corner, so this is good. The stroke, no stroke, and a fill of registration. This all looks good. So I'm happy with this. I'll just give it a name of camera 1. And we're done. Now let's add also, how about a barcode? We'll add a code 128. And first I'm going to specify the rule. I want it to be at the top left, and then over to the right by 2 millimeters, and then down from the top by 2 millimeters. The fill color is black. That's good. The format is good, 128, but the content, this isn't what I want, so I'll delete that. And I'm going to add in a keyword. I will add the job ID, and then a space, and then let's add, how about an ISO date as well. So the rest of this looks good. Let's call this job ID date. So that's ready. Let's create one more mark here. How about let's create a text mark, and for this one I'm going to put it at the top right of the sheet, over to the left, or right, left by 2 millimeters, and then also the same as the barcode, down by 2 millimeters. And for the content, let's, how about we'll put in here similar, we'll put in the job ID, then let's put in the job name, and how about the client name as well. Just put a space between that, and let's change the text a little bit bigger. How about 21? And just give this a name of, how about job props. Okay, so now we have three layout marks, Mark presets. I'm happy with that. Now let's go and do some settings in our substrates library. So pull this up. And these displays, I'm going to nest these onto the reboard. So this already has sheet specified, so that's all fine. But I want to create, or rather pull in those Mark presets I just created. So click the plus button here and select all three of these, go OK. Now I'll get those marks each time I use this substrate. The nesting settings, I want to do free nesting, so that's good. And I want to use any rotation, so this is good as well. The placement, bottom center. Double-sided, I actually don't want to tumble, I want to turn, so I'm going to just change that to turn. And I do want to allow multiple copies of layouts, so this is good. So I'm just going to now close this dialog, and now we're actually ready to go and create our job. So let's create a new job. That'll pull up a new job window. And the first thing we want to do is bring in our artwork files. So go here now and just select all those artwork files, and those all come in one go like this. And if we got our mapping set up correctly, each file should have a route and a crease, which it looks like we just have the route and not the crease. So probably looks like did something wrong. So let's actually just undo this, Control Z, or rather, how about let's just close this job and go back to our presets here and see what we did. Crease, there's the problem. I actually typed create, so let's change that to crease. And now create a new job again and try this one more time. Okay, we'll bring in our files here. And if we've got this right now, for each file now, we should see a route and a crease tool type. So this is all looking good. We can go double check this. Let's just double click on this item and go into the artwork view And now I'm going to click on the Edit Die option to actually see what the lines look like. And I can see I've got my route line and my crease lines, so I'm happy with all of this now. I could change the lines here if there were any problems. You know, if I had to move this around or delete some of these lines, I could do that. But this is all good, so I'm actually just going to cancel this change and go back to my artwork list. So now we need to specify some production settings. All of these right now have a quantity of 1, and we're going to change that. So I'm going to select all of them, all of the items here, and let's change the quantity to 5 for all of them. Then I'm also going to change the spacing, which right now is bleed, to tool. And this is what's actually going to be used in the nesting process to specify how far each item is placed from each other. So the tool had a spacing of 8 millimeters specified, so it's going to use that. The last thing I want to do to all of these items is, they're actually going to be double-sided, so I'm going to mirror the front to the back. I just click on this option, and you'll see each item now, it has a front and a back side, with the back side mirrored. The only other thing I need to do is I just want to actually change the scale of this second display. So let's select all the items in the second display and click the % option here. Right now it's 100%. I'm just going to scale that down to 50%. Okay, so now we've got our quantities specified, we've got our tool paths, we have everything mirrored mirrored the front to the back, and we've scaled our second set of items here. So we're now ready to actually go nest this job. So let's pull up the nesting dialog. The first thing I need to do is select the substrate. So I'll select reboard, and I would like to nest this onto the 1600 by 3000 millimeter board. Margins are good. I'm happy with the settings here, and I can see that I've got my marks in there. So now I'll just click start on that, and that's going to start producing results. So pretty quickly you'll start seeing results getting generated, and bit by bit for each layout it'll search for better results. If it finds something where it can nest it more tightly, then it will replace that layout, and once it's found a good result, then it's gonna move on to the next one. And you'll see in the graph here, over time, the blue line, which represents the number of items that have been placed, will go up towards 100%, and the orange line here, which represents the average waste, will fluctuate depending on the layouts it's finding. So we can see at the end result, we've placed 100% of the items here. We've got 22.6% waste on average, and I think that's mostly because the last layout here is mostly empty. The other layouts are filled up pretty well. And we can see we have 7 layouts. So we're done. Let's just click out of that. Now we can go and see our layouts. Here they are. If we need to make changes, we can. So if I want to move items around here or drag other items in, I can do that. But I'm happy with this, so I'll just undo those changes. Let's take a look. Let's make sure we've got our marks in here. I can see I've got my barcode there. I've got my camera mark here. Should have camera marks in the other corners as well. But I'm actually not seeing my text mark. And if I go back and look at that barcode again, I can only see the date in it. That's because I didn't actually specify the job properties. So let's go back to our artwork list and then just pull up the job properties here. So I want to specify an ID. Let's call this, how about pop display, display 1, this, and I'll call this demo 2 for the job name, and the client, let's just say that is Tilia Labs. So go OK on that. Now if I go back to my layout, I should see that I have pop display 1 in here for the job ID, and if I go over to my text mark on the right here, I should see those properties that I just specified. So I've pop display 1, demo 2, and Tilia Labs. So that's great. Everything looks fine. I'm now ready for output. Let's save this job. I'll save it as job 2. Now I'm going to go export for printing. I'm going to do this as a single file. So I'll call this job2-printing. And now I'm going to go export for cutting. And let's call this, we'll make sure we include all the marks we want. So we've got the barcode, the camera. Let's also include our text mark just so you can see everything there. And let's call this job2-cutting. And now let's go look at those files. So here's our one for printing. You can see it contains all the marks, all of the artwork items. Everything looks good for printing. And then we can also see for cutting, we should have all of our line types in there. We've got our route and our crease line types, and we've got our camera marks and the barcode and text marks. And so you can see in just a few short minutes in Griffin, we can import files, specify production settings, do true shape nesting, and then export results for printing and cutting.